These are some red chili flakes. You want to be very careful with them. They're not only hot in there, but if you were to use your finger and then you wiped your eye or your nose or your mouth, you'd know about it and it'd hurt for a while. So you want to be careful with those. And you want to make sure they make it in all around, because if they don't and you bite into it, you're going to know about it. I like spicy food. I like the sense of it. I like that it turns up your whole temperature. It turns on your immune system. It does a whole lot of other great things for you besides stimulating your appetite. And I love chili flakes. I throw them in a lot of things. And you don't want to overcook when you walk. You want a high heat. You want to move the food around a fair amount. And I think it's about ready for me at this moment to add the other ingredient that I'm going to put in there, which is basically some freshly cut tomatoes. Again, these little dishes are handy to have around the house, so you can put that sort of stuff in there. As soon as you add the tomatoes, what you want to do is you want to turn off the heat and drop a big lid over the top. And that's just to steam those tomatoes with the snap peas so they all stay together. Because a lot of times too much heat on a tomato, it'll just turn into mush. You won't be able to have the flavor and the other things with it that you really want. So now what we want to do is we want to go over and we want to start talking a little bit about herbs. Because as you can see, many of these things are nice the way they are, but what really adds the flavor, what really adds the appearance are some herbs. And I put together a little herb garden to show you. So here's my little traveling herb garden. I went to a nursery, paid about $6 for this little box, and about $1.99 or so for each one of these. I've got some oregano, cilantro, rosemary, a couple different oreganos here, basil, and a couple other little things thrown in. But what's really nice is that you have this, you can set it in your window, and you've got fresh herbs all the time, because every time you pick some off, you chop them up, you set it back in the window, they grow back again. Now I kept them in their little pots here, but you can certainly put some rock in the bottom of this, put some potting soil in it and plant it. And anybody in an apartment or a trailer for that matter can at least do this much. So I'm going to pull some cilantro off, and I'm going to chop that up for the halibut. And use my trusty little Chinese knife here, and just bring all that stuff together and chop it. There's nothing too elaborate about that. I've had no extensive training with a knife, at least dealing with fruits and vegetables, that is. And then what I also want to do is take some of the dill, and unfortunately they didn't have dill that I could buy there, but I did pick up some at the organic market, and I'm going to use this dill on the salmon. And I love dill on salmon, and just to make that a little bit. And you can see how handy this knife is for doing that. I mean, you don't have to have any special skills. You can just chop it all up and roll it back and forth a couple of times, and you've got some wonderfully chopped up stuff. And then take these guys and put them on top of the food you're cooking and give it some beautiful color, make it attractive. You can throw some also onto the plate. And I think that's another thing we might want to talk about, is that plates, and I mentioned it earlier on, is that plates are going to give you a lot of appeal for your food. And yeah, you can put it on a plastic plate, or you can keep an old TV tray dinner plate and put it in the compartments if you like, but I don't think that's going to really get your appetite excited. I picked up some inexpensive square plates, which I really love, because you can do cool things with them. I mean, talk about this for a moment. Take some of this, which is some of the dill, and find the tongs that you use for the fish initially. Take this guy, set it on the plate. Wash these guys off so that your asparagus doesn't end up tasting like fish. Go in here and grab some of the asparagus, and you can plate that and get creative with it. I mean, with the angles of this, you can do interesting things. And color is what really gets your appetite moving. So then I did the snap peas, some tomatoes with the snap peas, and I can put those guys together with that. And other than the fact that I've got two greens next to each other, you know, that makes something that's very attractive. That's why I like the square plates. Now, another thing that I think is really great is to take some basil, take some rosemary, take some mint, maybe a little cilantro, and put it together with some salad mix, like an arugula. And you can make a beautiful salad, again, on a small square plate. And you can then have a beautiful meal that really gets your appetite going. I mean, look at this, you know? And a big part of it is some of this. Now, there's another color missing on there. I don't see any yellow. So let me grab a lemon for a moment. I'm going to put some lemon on that fish, give it a little bit more color, and I think we'll end up with something that looks very attractive when we're done. So add a little lemon to this. Clean off some of the utensils so we don't have it all over the place, but we're really after the color effect of this to do something like that. Or, you know, if you were so inclined to create a wedge of it. But these are things that create a plate that you can't match it really in too many restaurants. And you can do it at home, and you can do it with simple stuff. But it requires the tools. Granted, you can pound and nail in with your shoe, but to build a house, it takes a hammer and a saw and a few other things. And that's what I'm really trying to show you here. And if you eat right, you will stay well. You will stay thin, and you won't have the fatigue and the tiredness which is plaguing most everybody every day across the United States, to say nothing of the fat, which right now we have the secret. We know how to get rid of that fat.